If anybody here knows me, I love to bring people before coaches. I've been doing this for a few years now, and I love to bring coaches before other coaches that have had success. My motto is always, if you want to know how to swim, we talked about this earlier. If you want to know how to swim, you go to somebody that knows how to swim. So if you want to win, you want to be successful, you want to win championships, go to somebody that's done it. And so me and Coach Mark Mitchell, we actually connected a few years ago. I believe it was on a Twitter Spaces or Zoom or something like that. And we were kind of just connecting from there. And then he came closer to where I was on the East Coast, but then now he's in Indy. So I was like, hey, I need to have this guy up. He's won a national championship, a lot of different accolades, has really had great success with his student athletes. So I'm excited for him to talk to you guys today. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the stage Coach Marc Mitchell.
Thank you.
Sir.
Can you hear? Yeah, I guess you can hear me. Like Coach Lewis was saying, I'm from New Jersey. I'm new to the Midwest. Things are a little different here for me. I had a long coaching career, coaching girls to women now. Very fortunate to be in this profession. I first started coaching, just going to talk to you guys a little bit about my history. I first started coaching, I was a school teacher, middle school teacher, and I always wanted to get into coaching. I played my college ball at Bloomfield College, a small Division II school in New Jersey, and I wanted to get into coaching. My very first college basketball game I ever watched was, I'm telling my age now, 1982. National championship game, Georgetown, North Carolina, when Jordan hits the shot. So I still hate Jordan to today. Just kidding. Well, sort of kidding. Georgetown fan as a young kid growing up. Patrick Ewing was my favorite player. And so I got into coaching as I was a school teacher. Teaching middle school. And on my breaks, I would go to the gym and speak to Coach Luby, who coached the 8th grade boys. And I just wanted to get into coaching. And out of the blue, I get a phone call from the head coach from the high school, Elizabeth High School in New Jersey. Says, I need somebody to coach my middle school team. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, Coach Luby's leaving? He's like, no, I'm the girls basketball coach. I need you to coach my 8th grade girls team. I go, oh, God. Sure. So reluctantly, I took that job and fell in love with coaching young women ever since. They tend to listen more than young men do. So I started my coaching career there. I left that middle school. And when the head coach, Coach Firestone, was retiring, he recommended me for the job. So in our town in Elizabeth, New Jersey, we had 8 middle schools. So my first year, I took my 8th grade team. I had some 7th graders and 6th graders on the team too. And I would go to his practice. And Fire was like, Mitch, what are you doing here? I said, I brought some of my players to see what you're doing. They're going to play for you. So I want to know what you're doing so I can prepare them for you. It's all about you, And Fire goes, I've been coaching and working in this district for over 30 years, and no middle school coach has ever done that. You're the first to do that, Mitch. And I go, thanks. So he recommended me for the job, and I got the varsity job. 2 years coaching middle school, I get the varsity head job, and people in the town are going crazy, like, how did he get the job? And I just listened to Fire and followed his lead. So after I left the high school, I was fortunate enough to get a part-time job at New Jersey City University, the Division III school. Whoa. And Coach Ramsey was talking about the Shaw team. When she said the Shaw team, my boss, who was the NJCU head coach at the time, she was an assistant on that Shaw team that won that year. But anyway, very small world, this coaching thing. So I got an assistant job at New Jersey City University. $1,300 for the entire year. That's how much I got paid. $1,300 for the entire year. Now, who does that? All right? Me, because I love the game. I love young people. I wanted to coach. So I was there for 1 year. I went to go see my college coach, who was an AD and men's basketball coach at Caldwell University. I went to go see him one day just to talk to him and say, hey, coach, you know, I love this coaching thing. Can you help me out? Can I use you as a mentor? Can we still stay in touch? He was like, yeah, Mark. He was like, yeah. Have you ever met our women's coach? I said, no. So he goes next door and gets Coach Semino, Linda Semino. She comes over, introduces herself. She offers me an assistant coaching job on the spot. I go, let me think about it. Talked to my wife, came back. Next day, I said, yeah, I'll take the job. It's the best professional decision of my life, coaching for Coach Sim. She taught me a lot about the business of college basketball, coaching young women. She would say things to the young women that I'm not going to repeat. But she would say certain things, and she would immediately turn to me and say, Mitch, you can't say that. Okay, coach, I got it. Just love the game, love young people. In that year, Coach Ramsey talked about being a serving. So I was really big on anticipating what my head coach, Coach Semino, needed. What did our players need? I was really big on anticipating those things and providing it for them. You know, so I would come in early. You know, I would have the coffee ready for Coach Sim. I would have, you know, water and everything set up for our players. I would do all of that stuff just to make sure that our program ran right. And at the end of the year, in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area, we had this big dinner for all the colleges in the areas. And we were at the All-Met dinner, and one of our players was being honored. She made second team All-Met. And Coach Sim says to me, hey, Mitch, you got to get another job. I said, are you firing me? And we're at a formal dinner, you know. She was like, no, you're just a really good assistant. You need your own program. So she helped me put together my portfolio and resume, and she helped me get the Fairleigh Dickinson University Florham job, which was open. I got that job, and before I went to my interview, my goddaughter was an 11th grader at the time, and I called up admissions, and we did an admissions tour. So I go through an admissions tour to learn the campus and learn little intricacies about the school. And then I had my interview. And then I told them, hey, I went on an admissions tour. So Roger Kendall, who was the associate AD at the time, he says, hey, Mitch, I've been working here for over 30 years. No one I've ever interviewed for any job has ever done that. Done an admissions tour. You're the first. I always pride myself on being unique, being different, being the first at certain things, or the first to do in a certain time. I like to be different. So I got the job. They offered me the job. I said yes. I had no idea how much it paid, nothing. And I was a full-time school teacher at the time, making a decent living with full benefits. And I said, yeah, I'll take the job. $40,000 a year. Oh, pay cut. Pay cut. Wife didn't like that. Pay cut. But I'm so passionate about what I do. I love this. So I didn't care. And found out later that 2 other people were offered the job and turned them down because it didn't pay enough. Okay, I took the job. And I said in the interview, I'm going to win a national championship here. So Roger goes, whoa, hold up, coach. Why don't you just win a few games? We're in the Pennsylvania League. It's very tough to win in this league. I said, I understand. I'm going to win a national championship. So in 2013, we put together a team and we won our conference championship for the first time in school history. And then we go into the NCAA tournament and lose in the first round. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm like, we lost in the first round. And I said, well, we're going to get it. We'll get there. And I had a transfer come in, a super freshman came in, and in 2014, we go undefeated and win a national championship. And it's a testament to all of our players. And we knew in the summer, before the season started, we're going to win it. We knew then. So I always talked about being together, being connected. And Coach Ramsey alluded to it as well. Being together. What was the culture that we created to get there? Now, I talk to people all the time. We're all coaches. We all have our different backgrounds. And I always say there's more than one way to win, okay? There's definitely more than one way to win. I'm from North New Jersey, grew up in the inner city, broken family. I saw a lot of stuff in my life. So my makeup is just a little different from others. And I'm a little different. So I say this to say there's just different ways to win. So the way I coach is the way I coach, and the way others coach is the way they coach. Not saying anyone's wrong or anyone's right. I just do it my way. But the culture, what is the culture? Culture, our motto is as one. As one, together. You can't, Coach had a nice slideshow there showing people holding each other, helping each other. I got the saying as one from a movie I watched, Gladiator, with Russell Crowe. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie. Anybody seen that movie before? Gladiator. There's a scene in that movie where there are a bunch of slaves. The Romans had them as slaves, and they had to come up and fight. And Maximus says to one of the guys, he's like, have you ever been in a war before? Ever been in the military before? The only way we're going to get through this is if we work together. Because there was a fight to the death. You win, you live. You lose, you're dead. He says, so we stick together. So they go up and they have this battle, an unfair battle, and they end up winning. And during the battle, he says, as one. And they fight together. And that stuck with me. And I took it, and that's been my saying ever since. As one. I used to say together. Now we say as one. So again, the culture is about being together. And everyone has to be on the same page. You, the head coach, the assistant coaches, the managers, the players, your administration, everybody on campus. That's how things get done, is everybody working towards one goal. Coach Ramsey was talking about attitude and gratitude. I had this thing called the attitude of gratitude. I would have extra T-shirts, extra sweats, sneakers, extra gear. I would go around campus to the security, say, hey, giving out T-shirts, attitude of gratitude. Go into admissions, sweatsuits for people, sneakers for the guys in the cafeteria who serve us every day. I'm in the cafe, like, yo, make that burger a little, hard, so stuff like that, So it's all about that culture. Just so we're all understanding, when I say there's different ways to win, I'm a little rough around the edges when I coach, and people, you're coaching young women. Yeah. but they're ball players, right? They put their sneakers on just like everybody else does, right? You know, the moment we don't treat them as equals, the moment we don't treat women as equals, what's being said about us, right? So I look at ball players as ball players, men or women, ball players. Put the sneakers on, the socks, we tie them up the same way, let's rock, right? So that's how I am. So I'm a little brash when I'm coaching. I'm a little animated when I'm coaching. I'm certainly in your face, good or bad, when I'm coaching. Some people can handle it, some people can't. And that's okay, because there's hundreds and hundreds of coaches out there. We all have little different things and we all talk about fit all the time, yes? So what I do may fit a certain group of people, and there's a certain group of people that doesn't fit, and that's okay. When I coached at FDU, when we won the national championship, I had an All-American on my team. I had a couple of All-Americans on my team. And Montclair State, who's in the state of New Jersey, also had a couple of All-Americans on their team. And I always said, you know, I have really great players, but they couldn't play for Coach Harvey. And she had a couple of great players. And I was like, they couldn't play for me just because of our styles, the way we coach. But anyway, building a culture, building a program, it takes a lot of different pieces. It takes some luck to have a winning program. But everyone has to be on the same page. Everyone must be on the same page. Assistant coaches are very, very important, very, very vital. As I told you before, when I was an assistant coach, I always anticipated what did the head coach need? What did the team need? What was the needs of the program? As an assistant coach, it's kind of your duty, your job to do those things, to make sure that the message that's being sent from the head coach that's the message. So whether you agree or disagree, in public, you agree with whatever the head coach says. And for some assistant coaches, that's kind of hard to do as an assistant coach. But that's something that you very much need to do as an assistant. Are there any head coaches here? Okay, do you ever have any issues with your assistant coaches disagreeing with you in public? How about behind closed doors? Oh, you are fortunate. Who else is a head coach here? You ever have any issues? I'm sorry? Not in public, right? Never in public. Behind closed doors, we're family, we can talk. Who else? You? Oh, you said always? See? So you see the spectrum here? Never. Only behind closed doors. And always. See, it's the whole spectrum, right? So I personally, as a head coach, I always remember what it was like being an assistant coach, okay? I always wanted to serve. I always wanted to give. I always wanted to anticipate what are the needs of. It's always. And when I disagreed with my head coach, I kept my mouth shut until we got behind closed doors and we had conversation. And at the end of the day, as an assistant coach, your job is to make suggestions. The head coach has to make decisions. There's the difference. And you can't be upset, and publicly you can't be upset if things don't go your way as an assistant coach. You have to be on the same page as the head coach. Recruiting, as a college coach, you as an assistant coach, you're going out recruiting. You may see a kid that this kid is great. Oh, this kid would be great for us. And you bring it back to the head coach, and the head coach goes, nah, Nah. And you're like so upset, visibly upset. You gotta shake that off. Move on. Okay, what do you want, coach? You gotta go get what the coach wants, because at the end of the day, those W's and L's is on the head coach's head, not yours, right? And you're supposed to be serving anyway, yes? So this is what we're talking about in building a culture. How do you surround yourself as a head coach with the right people, your right assistant coaches, the right managers, going out getting the right type of kids that you want, not only great players, but also they have to have great character. And everyone looks at that differently. Coach, can you tell me, when you say always, can you give me an example of an issue you might have had with an assistant coach?
I've coached on all levels, freshman, sophomore, varsity, now head coach college.
Mm-hmm.
So I got many different scenarios. Sometimes you want to meet with your staff before you make a decision. You have a little circle, and after the circle, somebody has a difference of opinions, and they have a meeting to go have another meeting.
Mm.
And the key is listening to that, and when they start listening to that, it makes my job better.
Much more difficult, yes? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can feel you on that. I had a situation once where we were going over a scout, and this is in practice. We're going over a scout who we're about to play, and we were discussing how we're going to guard the ball screen. So I say, I'm listening to my assistant coach because it was their scout. I'm standing there listening. I'm like, so then chatter started. So then I had to step in and say, oh, stop. We're going to kill it. This is what we're going to do. Blah, 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 blah. And publicly, coach, my assistant goes, well, that don't make sense. Whoa. So I played it cool, you know. We're going to do it my way. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what happens, right? Win or lose, it's on you. Right? So I understand that. That's an example of not being on the same page with your head coach. That's an example of not enforcing the culture. It's actually going against your culture. Like, we're supposed to be on the same page. As a head coach, as your scout, I stood to the side and let you talk. But then the chatter started, and the situation was getting out of control. So I stepped in and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we're supposed to all be like, okay, that's it, done. Instead of that public announcement there. So you're an assistant here? And you never disagree with the head coach? There's never a situation where the head coach makes a decision and you're saying to yourself, I'm 100% in on that. Majority of the time. Okay. All right. You like your job, right? I got you. I was an assistant coach, and this is my story when I was an assistant coach, my first year as an assistant coach. We were playing a team, and we must have been up 18 or so. And specifically, Tania Green was not supposed to inbound the ball. So team goes on runs, right? Why do I remember Tania Green? This is 20 years ago. Ball goes in the basket. Tania gets it out. Panics, turnover. Again. Turnover. So they go on an 8-0 run before coach calls a timeout. And as an assistant coach, you're not supposed to do this, right? And I didn't know, but I did it. Timeout, they're coming. I go out on the floor, using some words that, I shouldn't have used. As an assistant coach, that's not your job. Not your job. The head coach's job. And I was told by my head coach, that's not your job. Let me do that. You shouldn't talk to girls like that. And I quickly realized, okay, this is her culture, and I need to follow her lead, even if we lose, which I hate doing, losing. So that was one example. Another example as an assistant coach, again, you make suggestions. You don't make decisions. Head coaches make decisions. So as an assistant coach, about 8 games left for the season. We're playing a team, tie game. In this situation, they had to inbound the ball from half court. This was their basket. These were our benches. And I go, Coach, don't put anybody on the ball because I think they're going to try that play that they did earlier against us, over the top layup. She was like, nah. I said, okay, Coach. Put somebody on the ball. They made a curl over the top, layup. We lose. I'm beside myself. So we go into the office and talk afterwards. And Coach was like, I don't care. I can go 0-25. Alice isn't going to fire me. So I knew right then and there, this isn't the culture I want to be a part of, right? I don't want to be a part of this. So that's why I left, and thank God I went to Caldwell, and the rest is history. But again, you follow the coach's lead. So it's good that you listen to her, and you rarely disagree. But when those disagreements do occur, you follow the coach's lead and you support it. No questions. And you get behind closed doors, we can have different conversations. But in public, we're one. That culture. That culture. Question?
Another question, statement.
Yes.
Arguably, one of the top high school coaches in the country for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we often disagree. We know how to disagree.
You were the assistant coach?
I was assistant coach here.
Mm-hmm.
We even had our own seats on the bus. We had our own seats on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
We had our own rules in practice. Some people work people out. Some people sit at the table and crack jokes all the time. And he rarely ran practice. He would come in and chime in. And I would sit at the end of the bench at every game. Because you had 5 other coaches with the head coach. Sometimes I would even sit out of clothes behind the bench because I understood my role. He's one of the top coaches in the country, but his culture is exactly what you just said. Robert Smith, CBM, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
His culture is exactly like that. You can disagree, you can understand, you even can get it right, but your response and how you deal and how you handle it is the best way because it's his culture.
Facts. Facts. That's exactly right. Win or lose, it's the head coach's decision, and you support it every way. All right? Certain situations where, I don't get it right all the time. I'm a head coach. I make mistakes. Okay? Why did I sub this kid in? Why is she guarding her? Because I said so. Right? And sometimes I'm wrong. Most of the times I'm right, though. I'm rarely wrong. Right, Coach? Everyone, we all make mistakes. But the point is your culture. What is your responsibility as a head coach? What is your responsibility as assistant coach, managers? What is your responsibility? It's supposed to be supporting one goal. How do you handle things as a head coach behind closed doors, Coach? Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure. You want to have honest and open conversations with your assistant coaches. You want to make sure that you empower your assistant coaches, but at the same time, they need to understand, everyone needs to understand, at the end of the day, it's just one word, yours. So that has to be enforced behind closed doors oftentimes. We talk about things, and sometimes we do have uncomfortable conversations at times. But if you all have the same common goal, there you have it. Now, as a head coach, if you're an assistant coach aspiring to be a head coach, it's very important that you stay true to yourself. Because you are going to get in situations where you're going to double guess yourself, second guess yourself. You're like, as an assistant coach, when you become that head coach, you can't get influenced by your assistant coach telling you what to do. You can't get influenced by your players telling you how to coach them. I have this situation now. I'm new here to the Midwest. Again, I'm an East Coast guy. I come up differently. I talk differently. I move differently. And I came into a situation, this year is my first year here at UIndy, and I had players coaching me how to coach them. I don't know, has anybody ever had that situation? They're coaching me how to coach them. Coach, I don't like being yelled at. Okay. You don't like being yelled at. Okay. Is that because people are watching? Or you simply just don't like to be yelled at? Well, it's hard when people, it's a lot of people here and it's like embarrassing. Okay, so now you're coaching me to coach you. Okay. As a head coach, we make adjustments, right? So now I only yell at her in the locker room when nobody's around. And see how that works. Worked out a little bit better towards the end. Do you have any questions right now about anything? Questions? Yes, Coach.
Yeah, how a lot of times assistants, especially if they're aspiring to be head coaches, they obviously want a great reference from their head coach. So there's a natural incentive to just be agreeable and not ever upset the head coach. So as a head coach, how do you create a safe enough space for your assistants to speak openly to you?
Yeah, like Coach said, we get behind closed doors. We're family. Like, we're a family. You can say whatever you want to me. It's not personal. I'm a little different where we can say whatever we want to say to each other as long as the kids ain't around. Okay? That's how I am. And they know that. And they know that coming in. They know that I'm as real as they come. Like, you have a disagreement? Yeah, I'm going to give you a good reference. My whole purpose is to try to help you get to whatever your personal goals are. If you're an assistant coach trying to be a head coach, let's go for it. These are the things that we need to do to get you to where you need to get to. Behind closed doors, we can talk, we can disagree. But if I see, when we're out in public, that you are supporting me and doing everything I ask you to, there's never an issue. But if you're undermining, that's a whole nother ball game, right? Because now you're not only undermining me, you're undermining the culture, which we're trying to establish, build, and sustain. Make sense? So if you ever work for me, it's as long as the kids ain't around, we can say whatever we want. That's how I am. Any other questions about anything? All right, we move on. You talked about defining roles for everybody. Everybody on the team, every player, every manager, your GA, assistant coaches, we all have to have roles. And Coach, you mentioned like the head coach during practice wouldn't even you chime in every now and then. When I was a high school coach, I would go to different college basketball practices. So I was big on going to see Coach Stringer at Rutgers. Phil Mangina was the head coach at Seton Hall at the time. I would go watch Seton Hall's practices, went over to Manhattan to watch their practices. And what I noticed a lot during those times, this is years ago, was the head coach did all the talking. And the assistant coaches were like standing there, passing the ball mostly, rebounding for kids. And the head coaches did a lot of talking. I remember saying to myself, if I ever become a head coach, I'm going to empower my assistant coaches to be more involved, to take ownership of the program. That was always my mentality, because that's like, what is their purpose? Why are they getting paid? I can go rebound. Give me a job. Let me go rebound for them. You know what I mean? Even into today, I know some coaches, some head coaches at the Division I level. They're the head coach. They have an assistant coach who's in charge of defense. They got an assistant coach that's in charge of offense. Another assistant coach does the substitutions. And I'm like, well, what the hell does the head coach do? Now, again, I talk about defining roles. If that's how you run your program and yes, your culture, respect to that. So on one hand, I don't want to be so dominant as the head coach where our players aren't listening to anything other than me. I don't want that. But at the same time, if you're doing defense and you're doing offense and you're in charge, like, how do you have somebody in charge of substitution? Like, I can't function like that. But as far as having roles, yeah, I think every assistant coach needs to have a defining role, every manager, every GA, and every player. Just real quick, while I'm on my mind, Coach Ramsey said she's never had anybody check themselves into a game. I actually had. That happened to me before. It was a big game. My point guard got injured. She left the game. She got hurt. And I'm standing up coaching. And all of a sudden, she walks right past me. I'm good. And just walks straight to the scores table. I'm like, all right, Ja, let's go. So that has happened to me. And I'm okay with that. That's the kind of coach I am, because that's the trust that I had in that particular young lady. Everybody can't do that. That only happened once. Jalissa Lewis. But yes, back to roles. Everyone has a role to play. Players that normally don't get to play a lot, that are on the bench, those particular players have to be stars in their role. If you want to, everybody wants to play. And I think as coaches, we don't do a good enough job of being honest with players. Now, oftentimes that gets me in trouble. When I say trouble, it makes things a little contentious with me and players, because I'm always honest with them. You're not going to play because she's better than you. Now, if you want to play, fine. Be better than her. And that's not what they want to hear. Okay? I'm like, I had a kid come to me and I'm like, Coach, I think I should play more. And I'm like, RJ, that's not your role. Like, your role is to push them, you know. And she's like, no, I think I can play. I should be able to play more minutes because I work hard. Everybody's supposed to work hard. That's nothing. You don't get to play because you work hard. Everyone's supposed to work hard. So she came in. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Where do you think you should play? Well, I think I can get more minutes. I should get some minutes from Leanne. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm going to get Leanne to come in here and you tell her. No, I don't want to. What are we talking about here? You can't tell your teammate, I want to take your minutes? I'll tell you what. In practice, I'll make sure that you guys are matched up against each other. And you outplay her, you're going to play. You know me. I'm trying to win. Okay? So I breed those things in competition, but know your role. If your role is to push somebody, and then when she leaves, it's your turn to step up, then it's your turn to step up. When I call you, if you're playing 2 minutes a game, you need to be a star in that role for the team. The team goal is the most important. Remember, as one, right? So it's not about you, it's about us. It's not about you, it's about us. Make sure you define what your culture is, define everyone's role, make it clear what your role is to everyone. If you're the head coach, if you're an assistant coach, and your job is to make sure that, during halftime, because as halftime, I'm boom, as soon as it goes 0, I'm out. If it's your job to make sure the players get into the locker room, at the end of the game, make sure the players shake hands and get into the locker room, and make sure you do your job. Do your job. I had an assistant coach, during those particular moments, want to argue with officials. And I try to make really good relationship with officials as a head coach. So I spoke to like six officials, and all but one said, he's always complaining. He talking about my assistant. I'm like, oh, okay, understood. I'll take crap from you, coach, but I don't want to hear it from him. That's what officials would say to me often. So as an assistant coach, it's not your job to be jumping on officials. Unless your coach gives you that role and says that's your role. But I make it clear that's not your role. That's my job. But define roles to build the culture, to build a program. Stay true to yourself. Do not waver. You have to stay true to yourself and to the culture and to the program. And the moment you deviate from that is when you lose, okay? You lose not only games, but you can lose your whole team, you can lose your whole program. You don't want to ever, ever, ever do that, okay? And sometimes it's uncomfortable for some people. That's life. Transfer. I mean, I'm big on telling the kid, listen, I respect how you feel. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe this isn't a good fit. Transfer. I'm good with that. The head coach has a vision. Make sure you understand as an assistant coach what that vision is, and you're relaying that message daily, constantly, all the time. Make sure of that. Whatever your particular vision is as a head coach. And as assistant coach, you got to know your head coach and anticipate what your head coach needs are, as well as your players. Anticipate what those needs are to help the culture of the team. All right? Once you establish a certain culture, you stick with it and don't ever deviate from that, ever, because you're going to lose the big picture. Questions, comments, or concerns? Good. You were at Chicago State? Andrea? I just met her personally in Dallas. Yeah, we took a picture together and everything. Nice, nice lady, very nice. We talk a little bit now, so it's cool. But do you agree with Coach all the time? Whatever you do, don't do it in public. If you disagree, that's all. That's my advice. That's my advice. Just not do it in public. Again, I'm new to the Midwest. I think what we did here at UIndy this year, we won 18 games. We won a conference tournament game, which was the first time in 6 years they won a conference tournament game. 8-game improvement from last year to this year. Same players, different coach, different culture. They actually lost like 2 of their top scorers from graduation. And I came in, I brought a couple kids in. It was late. We won 18 games. We won 18 games. We were preseason picked 6th in the GLVC. We ended up 4th. And, we lost to the conference champion, Drury, at the time. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I'm really pleased with my group and how they responded to me as a new coach for the most part. We are building the culture. Again, this is my first year. We haven't established the culture yet. We are establishing the culture right now. I think this upcoming year is going to be a lot different, a lot better. Some of the young ladies have graduated. A couple of young ladies that went into the transfer portal that are transferring. I think it's going to be all good. If anybody wants to contact me, my cell number is 973-207-0083. That's my cell number. You can follow me on Twitter. My email address is mjmitchell@uindy.edu. If there's anything I could ever do for anyone, if I can help anyone with anything, I'm always willing to help. I'm always willing to just talk and chop it up, share ideas. Coach Ramsey spoke earlier today. Something I've been coaching forever and never even thought of that I am definitely going to do now, listening to her just those few minutes. I'm still learning. I've been 20 years coaching high school and college, and I just learned something today that I'm going to do. She talked about her seniors carrying the laundry bags and cleaning up stuff and doing stuff and showing. And I'm like, I always said, freshmen got to pay their dues. Freshmen got to do that. You know what? I'm going to do what she's. I love that idea of, hey, you should show them how it's done. You get the bags. You clean up the cups and stuff after, whatever the case may be. So again, we're all learners. I'm still learning. I appreciate your time. Again, please contact me anytime, any place. Call me, email me, text me. It's all good. Coach Lewis, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Oh, okay. What do you want to?
Go ahead. All right, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.